Hey there everyone, it's Ryan with Frontline Animal Removal. And there's something I pay attention to that most people never pay attention to, but it kinda is an indicator of what is happening with the wildlife population. And what's happening with the wildlife population affects my job, so I pay attention to it. So what is it that I'm, tracking? It's roadkill. You see, I spend a lot of time in my truck driving around. Now, I'm not really out on the highway driving around. I'm, driving through neighborhoods and state roads, lower speeds. So I spend a lot of time driving, but not going very fast or very far. But I see something, and I see a lot of it. And that is roadkill. Now, roadkill can kind of tell me what's going on with the wildlife population, because the wildlife behaves somewhat predictably. So right now, we're getting near the, we got about 4 more weeks of winter until the official start of spring. And what happens at the mid to late part of winter? Well, we have skunk breeding and raccoon breeding going on. And what does roadkill have to do with breeding? Well, if you were a kid, you may have watched some Looney Tune cartoons. And a lot of people that are my age, older, and some younger people are very familiar with Pepe Le Pew. And everyone knows that Pepe Le Pew is a skunk that's in love with a striped cat. Pepe Le Pew thinks the kitty is a lady skunk, but it's just a kitty, and all that cat wants to do is get away from the stinky skunk. And Pepe Le Pew has completely lost his mind and is in love and is in constant pursuit of that cat. Well, believe it or not, Looney Tunes got that depiction very accurate. You see, when animals go into their breeding season or breeding cycle, whatever you want to call it, they lose their minds. They aren't as cautious as they normally are. They will forego food and sleep in the pursuit of love. Now, they're not like us. They don't think like us. They're purely instinct driven. Now, we're instinct driven too, but we make things complicated. Those animals out there, they're not complicated. They just want to get with each other and get it on. So, how does this relate to roadkill? Well, when these animals are in their breeding season, they stop being cautious and careful about around the roadways. And their desire to get together means they will bolt out into the roadways. They stop paying attention to those cars and they get hit. Male skunks roam great distances looking for females, and if they smell a female, they're going after her. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Male raccoons are the same way. So when we get into February, we start seeing dead skunks all over the road. When we get into the later part of the January through into March, we see dead raccoons all over the road. And then when the groundhogs start to emerge from their dens, from their winter's nap, usually at the tail end of February and into March, we start seeing groundhogs all over the road. Now you would think with a groundhog, they would wake up from their long winter's nap and be really hungry. Well, yeah, they're hungry because they spend a lot of their fat sleeping. But the very first thing they do when they come out of those dens is, well, they got to go find a mate and have a good time. Now, we know when the breeding cycle starts to end because a lot of the roadkill disappears. And when is another time of the year we spot a lot of roadkill on the road? That would be in the fall with the deer. A lot of car-deer collisions happen in the fall when the rut begins. And for about 2 months, those deer are going nuts, chasing each other around. Bucks, the males, they're normally much more elusive than the does. I believe, now this is just my hypothesis, I believe since bucks have been targeted by hunters for decades, they have become much more elusive around human beings than the does, because does are often not hunted as much as the bucks. And we just don't see those big bucks very often. But during breeding season, those bucks, they lose their mind and they will bolt across a road looking for a doe. And when the doe's in the mood too, she'll bolt across the road looking for that big buck. So that's just an interesting tidbit about my job. When I'm driving down the road, I glance at all the roadkill. I pay attention to the time of the year and the number of animals that I see. And today, I probably drove by 10 dead skunks on the road. And later this afternoon, I'm setting skunk traps at a customer's house because they're loaded with skunks. Yesterday, I was setting raccoon traps. Actually, all week I've been setting raccoon traps. And I've been catching massive amounts of raccoon. And what else am I seeing along the roadways? Lots of dead raccoons. So, just be careful in the spring when you're driving. If you're seeing lots of roadkill on the road, there's a good chance something's going to dart out in front of you. And in the fall, especially, be careful when you start to see those dead deer laying on the road. That means the deer are probably in rut, and you better be very careful because those deer are acting stupid and they'll run right out in front of you. So, just an interesting little tidbit from me. Thank you for listening to my rant.